Gamer Joba, dear students, today it's my pleasure to introduce you to our instructor, Hristo Yonchev, who will be leading two of our courses, so that's programming C# and ASP.NET. And today you will be able to learn more about his experience, more details about the course and the certification benefits. So hello, Hristo.
Hello, everybody.
Can you please tell our students more about yourself, your experience, and how many years have you been working in the IT industry?
Hello again, everybody. My name is Hristo Yonchev. I'm a Microsoft certified trainer, professional developer, solution developer, IT professional, and so on and so on. I have 18 years of experience with Microsoft technologies, C#, .NET, SQL Server, cloud development for Azure, and so on. Microsoft technologies in short. So mainly as application developer and database developer, but also I was responsible in some company for the database administration, but 90, let's say 5% of the time, I am software application developer, senior software application developer and software architect in the latest company. So this is me. So
great. I guess we should start from the C# course initially. Can you please tell us a bit more about the course, what topics will be covered, and what practical exercises will it include?
Okay, so let me share my screen because I've prepared the first module, let's say the introductory module of the course. So I will share some official Microsoft course slides. So let me share. So this is official Microsoft course, programming with C#, but we extended it and added the more modern cloud application development with Azure. So in the first part of the course, before we discuss what are the modules, let's see what is the audience for who is this course. Some requirements about audience. So in order to go to this course, you should have at least 3 months of experience creating .NET applications for .NET Framework or .NET Core with C# or other programming language, maybe JavaScript, maybe Java, some maybe C++, Visual Basic, and so on and so on. But this is some requirements for this course because we're going to discuss a lot of topics, some more intermediate, some more advanced, and this experience is essential. Otherwise, it would be too hard to understand most of the topics. So as I said, the course is programming with C#, but it's not for future developers that never write a single line of source code. So remember this, and this will be much better for you if you have at least 3 months of experience from my point of view. So this is a kind of requirements. If you have this experience, you can of course go and learn everything related to this course with much easier, much less effort. So what we are going to learn and what we will cover in this course. In the first part of the course, we will start with what is .NET Framework, Visual Studio, and C#, how to create applications, how to understand large-scale applications requirements, how to create methods, classes, object-oriented programming constructs, how to create interfaces, create class hierarchies, reading, writing files, accessing data with edu.NET or Entity Framework, and creating services. Also, in this course, we're going to discuss how to create a graphical user interface applications with XAML, mainly for desktop and mobile applications. Web application development is covered in another course. So that's why in this course, we're going to discuss how to create graphical user interface for mobile and desktop applications. So together with the other course, we covered the main client-side parts of the applications, mobile, desktop, or web. the server side, of course, with ASP.NET Web API and so on. And business logic data access is covered much better in the next course, which is developing web applications with ASP.NET. Not only web applications, but also web APIs and so on. But here we're going to continue to discuss how to write asynchronous programming code with tasks, threads, multi-threading, multitaskings, using task parallel library in .NET framework, and so on. Also, some more advanced topics like reflection, how to use custom attributes, how to generate code at runtime dynamically, how to manage assembly versions, especially this is important when you have multiple deployments, versions, and so on. Finally, of course, for the server-side application development, in this part, we're going to discuss encryption, decryption data by using symmetric, asymmetric encryption. So these are the modules very quickly. As you see, what we discussed, quickly the review of Visual C# syntax, the language itself. Also, of course, this includes the Visual Studio itself as development integrated environment. Later, creating methods, handling exception, using try, catch, finally blocks, monitoring applications. Later, how to create basic types, constructs in Visual C#. Later, more advanced object-oriented programming with classes, implementing type-safe collections using generics. Later, creating complex class hierarchies using inheritance. Later, in the module 6, reading, writing local data. After that, accessing a database with edu.NET and NT framework. In module 8, accessing remote data is the topic. How to do the communication between applications in a single network or different networks. After that, as we mentioned, graphical user interface with XAML mainly. In module 10, we are going to discuss multi-threading, multitasking, and asynchronous programming, and how to improve the application performance and responsiveness. Module 11, reflection, working with assemblies, reusable types, and assemblies. This is the module 11. Module 12, encrypting and decrypting data. So this is the first part of the course. In the second part, we will move to developing cloud solutions and applications for Microsoft Azure. What are the modules here? Very quickly, we have around 8 modules, exactly 8 modules, which are how to create web applications for the cloud and host them, how to implement Azure functions for so-called serverless applications, even that we know that there is no server application without server. These applications are called serverless with less server, less developing for the server itself. That's why they are called serverless. Otherwise, they are always executing in some server. Develop solutions that are use blob storage, how to manage files and other binary large objects in the cloud. Developing solutions for Cosmos DB, and also comparing what is the difference between relational database management systems and NoSQL's key value stores, document databases, and so on. So this is about module 4. And in short, what are the options for the databases in the cloud, where the focus is on Cosmos DB, because in the first part, the focus was data access with relational database management system. In the course, it was SQL Server. Even that, we're going to discuss how to access other relational database management systems like MySQL, Oracle, Postgre, and so on and so on. In the module 6, we will continue with developing application service logic apps, which are again serverless applications, where you can build the workflows which will implement some complex logic, business logic, or infrastructure, application logic, and so on with logic apps. And at the end of this part of this course, we're going to discuss event-based communication and messaging-based communication between different modules, systems, applications in the cloud. Of course, we're going to compare and discuss when this type of communications are used and what they help and how they help with disconnected communication between different subsystems, modules, or applications. Disconnected communication sounds a little bit strange, crazy, but with this messaging-based type of communication, this is possible. So it is possible that two applications, two systems, which are not online at the same moment, to communicate without any problems using, for example, messaging-based solutions like a service bus in Azure as a service. So a lot of services will be discussed and how to develop applications for the cloud. This is the idea. And that's why we chosen these modules here, because they are one of the most popular these days to create applications for the cloud. So just to repeat again the requirements for this course, 3, even 6 months of experience with some programming language, not mandatory C#, maybe another programming language, but some experience. This is not for beginning for developers which never have experience with how to develop applications. So that's why we have only a single module first of the first part, which discuss what is C#, what is Visual Studio. After that, we start to create real world applications, which require some experience. So this is about this course. Mikhail?
Okay, I have only one question about this course. After completing the 2 parts of it, what will the certificates be, and what are going to be the exam questions? Will they be open, multiple choice questions? What's it going to be?
I see. After this course, the natural exam is the one that you see on your screens. It is called Developing Solutions for Microsoft Azure. This is the official Microsoft web page for this exam. So after this exam, you will be Microsoft Certified Azure Developer Associate. So the idea is that after you complete this exam, you first will be certified as a Microsoft Azure developer, and also your question was about the structure of the exam. I prepared some screenshots in here in YouTube. There is a good video related to this question. So usually you have different type of questions, around 60-70 questions on these exams, which are trying not only to check your knowledge, but also to check your experience with the technology. That's why our courses are half theory, half practice, and you have multiple laboratories, multiple exercises, and multiple homeworks during the course. So the Microsoft exams are trying to find if you have enough knowledge and enough experience. That's why the questions are sometimes looks a little bit tricky, but that's the idea of this course. That's the idea of these questions. So usually most of the questions are multiple answers, but you have one or multiple choices. Here is an example of single choice, single answer question. In other questions, you have multiple answers. For here, when you have radio buttons, obviously only one is correct. Remember that when you have questions like the next one that you see here, when you have multiple possible correct answers, usually and almost 100% of the time, this will be specified in the question, how many of them are correct. So they are not trying to
trick us.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you. They try to check how much knowledge you have and how much experience you have, not not to, so as you see here, choose 2 of the answers. So they tell you how many of them are correct. So you will not wonder all of them are correct or just a single one is correct. So you know always how many are correct, just you don't know which are the correct, of course. And after our courses, of course, you will know this, which are the correct answers. So
Great.
this is a type of the questions. Of course, there is other type of questions like drag and drop questions and so on and so on, but all of them are single or multiple answers questions. So sometimes you need to order the answers in specific order, but they are single or multiple answers questions, around 60, 70 questions. And the exam duration is around 2, 3, 4, maximum 4 hours. So that's about the course itself. So we are also, we'll be prepared after this course for the exam.
Okay, so final question for the C# one. What should be the next step for students after taking this course? What do you recommend with your vast knowledge?
After this course, they of course can start to work as a software developer, but as a software developer, you need to develop some type of, from technology point of view, some type of applications like web, desktop, mobile, distributed application in the cloud. So there is additional courses which are more specific to the type of the applications they will develop. So some developers prefer to develop mobile applications, some prefer to develop web applications, some prefer server-side distributed multi-layered applications, some prefer microservices architecture, and so on and so on. So there is other courses like the one that we're going to present later, web application development with ASP.NET, where how web applications are developed is discussed, and also is discussed how to create server side of the applications, like creating the APIs for in order other systems to integrate with our applications and services. So I think if they need to develop specific type of applications like mobile, web, desktop, server side, they need to go to also to additional course for more specific type of applications. Even that, I think this course is enough for them to start to work as a professional software developer. Even that, probably in the beginning as a junior software developer, but still is a professional software developer.
Okay, great. So we can continue with the ASP.NET. Can you again explain to us, please, what the modules are going to be? What is it going to cover? Give us a little bit more information about ASP.NET.
Okay, let me share my screen again, and I will switch to the other official Microsoft course. Can you see my screen?
Yes,
please?
Yes, I can see it.
Perfect. So this is the next Microsoft official course, developing ASP.NET Core MVC web applications. The focus is MVC, is web application development, but also we are going to discuss the server-side development of the applications. So what we are going to discuss is are these topics. So first, after this course, the students will be able to describe the Microsoft web technologies, which are modern these days, or the entire stack, and they will be able to choose the appropriate technologies to develop a specific type of, let's say, web application. Even that, as I said, this is very often the server side of the applications, which is not specific. It is accessed through HTTP web, but it's not exactly web applications like websites where you have HTML, CSS, JavaScript, and so on and so on. So also as part of this course, you will be able to design and architect the web applications to meet a set of functional requirements, user interface requirements, and you are going to address business models. So depending on the requirements that you have for these applications, you will know how to understand the requirement and how to develop applications according to the requirements. So of course, we are not going to discuss in deep details how to analyze the requirements, but how from the requirements, we're going to go to application to develop the application using ASP.NET. So we're also going to discuss how to configure the pipeline of ASP.NET Core Web Applications by using the middleware. And we're going to discuss what's a dependency injection, how it's used, and how later dependency injection is used in so-called controllers or other services. Later, we're going to discuss the three key part of the MVC, module view controllers. First, we are going to start with the controllers and their methods called actions and their filters. Also, we're going to discuss how to configure the URL routing, the routing engine in ASP.NET, sometimes called routing engine, sometimes called routing, doesn't matter. Also, we, of course, because it's a web application developed, we're going to discuss how we develop user interface using views, which displays and edit data to interact with the so-called models and controllers. So to display the data, to edit the data, to save, validate the data. So that's part of this module. So we're going to discuss how also to organize big applications, which are web applications, which contains multiple layers where we put the business logic, how much of the business logic is in the MVC web application, or how much is in other projects, layers, and so on and so on. How much of this business logic is moved to the database, and so on and so on. Also, later we're going to discuss how to access the data, again with Entity Framework, but here the focus is Entity Framework Core, because the web application can be hosted not only in Windows environment, but also in Linux environment. That's why we're going to discuss, and that's why, as you see, the focus is on MVC Core, not just ASP.NET for .NET Framework. So what we are going to use, it's the latest version of .NET 6, where you are going to develop applications which can be hosted and running in Linux or Windows environment, even in other environments like macOS and so on and so on. So we are going to discuss some specific topics for the web applications like JavaScript, TypeScript, even CSS, HTML, some topics specific for the web application development, because at the end, this web application development where the users receive HTML pages, which contains HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Even that, the focus is not so much about the front-end web application development, but as ASP.NET MVC web application developer, you should know how to develop user interface, which the users can touch and see, how to develop pages, user interface. So, of course, serious web applications and any serious .NET business application is covered with unit tests. The most important parts of the code is covered, mainly the business logic or some important services are covered with unit tests, and that's part of this module, running unit tests. How to create unit tests and how to run the unit tests using the latest development, integrated development environment, Visual Studio. So, of course, web applications, business web applications require authentication, authorization and authentication, which we are going to discuss later in this course. Also, how to use caching to accelerate the responses to the user requests when you have thousands or millions of users. You know you need to optimize your applications. And how to use SignalR to enable two-way communication between the client and the server, which otherwise is pretty hard task. But with the SignalR and WebSockets, this is much more easier. And we're going to see how we are going to develop. Also, very modern and very popular these days is to create APIs, which are used by external systems in order to integrate with your web applications or your systems. That's why we're going to discuss here web API. APIs which are used by other applications or systems in order to integrate with your application. Sometimes they are just used by your applications when you have multi-layer applications where the front end use the backend using web API. So we're going to discuss all these scenarios where web APIs are important and when to use them and when not to use them. And of course, at the end, we're going to discuss how to deploy the ASP.NET Core web applications on premises or in the cloud. That's why later in this course, we go to second part, the part 2, developing cloud solutions for Microsoft Azure, where, as we discussed before, we have the same modules in this course. Just to refresh with you, as you see, creating Azure APP service web applications. So we just learned in the first part how to develop the web applications, all parts of the applications, from the data access to the user interface, that's why after this course you can be called full stack web application developer. And you will know after the second part how to develop these applications for the cloud. So the first module is how these applications will be hosted in the cloud, what are the different options in the cloud, how to make them scalable, how to also integrate with other Azure services. Also, when to use Azure functions, Azure logic apps, as we discussed, when to host the applications using platform as a service like APP service web for web apps or virtual machine, which is known as infrastructure as a service solution, where you're using a web server like IIS to host the applications. So you will know when to use virtual machines with web server there, or when to use platform as a service in Azure, like Azure APP Service Web App, for example. So also in these days, when you develop applications for the cloud and when they are highly distributed to applications, you need to use some type of communication between them. And very often you can use service bus, message queues, like in Azure storage queues and other type of message queues which exist in the cloud. That's why we're going to discuss messaging-based communication between different services, applications, systems in the cloud. So this, what we mentioned before, will give you much more powerful communication, sometimes disconnected, especially communication in your applications. So we're going to discuss when to use and when not to use every of the technologies and what are the benefits and advantages, benefits or negatives, disadvantages of using some of these technologies, because not all of these technologies has only benefits. Some of them has disadvantages, and that's why we're going to compare very often why to use this, not the other. And we're going to answer in these courses all the questions that you're going to ask. That's the idea of these courses, to be able to ask some much more experienced developer or architect which technology is better in which case, which feature to use in this case or on another case, what is better in some situation, what is worse in another. So this is about the second course. For this course, requirements are a little bit more extreme, let's say. You should have 1-2 years of development experience and better to have experience with some of these technologies, which, as you see in my screen, Visual Studio, with C#, to know what is .NET or .NET framework, because this web application development with ASP.NET, this is the main topic of the course. If we exclude the second part, which is about Azure, you need to know what is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Not to be so proficient, but you need to know, because as you know, in the web applications, what is rendered in the server, what is generated is HTML. So the users see in the browsers, they do not see the HTML, but they see the result of the HTML. So that's why you need to know what is it. Of course, there is another course, remember, Microsoft official course, which is only for HTML5, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which is only for front-end developer. This is for full-stack application developers, web or other type of application, as we discussed, because the web APIs, which you can develop with ASP.NET, are very often integration point of your services, or just what the mobile applications are using in order to communicate with the server side of your web application or the business logic of your applications. So that's what we are going to discuss, all of this. topics. Of course, it's good to know what is XML, JSON, SR data structures, and to have some experience with querying, manipulating data with edu.net, because we're going to discuss what is anti-framework, but not in deep details what is edu.net, what is data, how to access it, and why we access the data in the web application. So that are the topics of the second course.
Okay, thank you very much for the clarification. I have a couple of questions. So for this course, how will this certification help the candidates in their professional career? What job positions are they suitable for? And what should they do after getting a successful certification in this topic? What should be their next step, in your opinion?
Very good question. My opinion is that after successfully attending this course, doing all of the WAPs, all of the homeworks and exercises that we're going to give to the students, they are ready for web application, professional web application developer positions. But remember that we discussed some technologies which are for the server-side application developer. So if the positions are web application developer, full stack web application developer, or server-side application developer with .NET and C#, they are perfectly fine to go to candidate to these positions. The next steps, from my point of view, this course is pretty advanced. I think there is no next step, so they can continue with other courses related to Azure. But for the web application development, this is, let's say, the latest step of Microsoft education for web application developers. Microsoft has many other courses related to Azure if they prefer to go to cloud application development. Let me share with you one list. I have one folder here with a list of courses, which are Microsoft official courses. So the next course probably is the one which is called, as you saw the name, developing solutions for Azure 204. So if they prefer also to know what are the Internet of Things, they can also go to this another course, which is AZ 220, Internet of Things development. Also, Microsoft has other courses like AZ 304, which is for much more experienced developers. And if they think they are more experienced, they can go to these courses.
Can you
which
please
are related?
Share the screen, because for some reason it's not showing. Yeah,
I see. So let me share my screen. Yeah, I forget that I'm not sharing. Okay, so what I just quickly again to repeat, you have the official Microsoft course, which is for Azure application development, AZ 204, but you can go to other courses like architectural design or designing Azure infrastructure solutions using the courses. Also, they can go to DevOps solutions and other courses which exist. But from my point of view, this course should be enough for software developers which think to create web applications for on-premises or in the cloud, or even hybrid applications, business applications. But there is other steps, of course, other courses. So it is always a good idea to learn more and more.
Okay, thank you. So will there be homework? Will candidates have tons of homework, or?
Yeah, first, just to repeat again, after every session, we have, after every module in the courses, we have a app where the students will try to implement application to use the technologies that we discussed the last 1-2 hours, let's say. So after every module, so all the courses, Microsoft courses, usually are half lectures and theory, half practice and laboratories and practice with practical application development. But we will add, in addition to this, homeworks with more complex applications for development in order the students to be able to create real world, in this case, in the second course, web applications, which are much more closer to the practice, to the real world. So after every session, we will try to give them enough homework in order to for them to non-stop think about web application development with ASP.NET.
Amazing. And can you answer one question again? It's regarding about either C# or ASP.NET. Will there be a project that they can use for their CVs so that they can put them right before trying to apply for a job? Or will it be strictly projects that are made for understanding the current module?
After both of the courses, programming with C# and developing web application with ASP.NET MVC, they will, for sure, they can quote in their CV the project they worked on, because the project that they will develop during the duration of the course, which will be some months, will be enough complex and enough close to the real world in order for them to say later in the interview and in their CV that they developed these applications by their own. Even that with help with the other developers or with me, but they will develop 99% of the code and of the application, so they will be happy to quote this in their CV.
Okay, so I think we covered pretty much everything. If you would like to add something for the students, maybe cheers, some few words for them, encouragement. Why should they go to this course?
From my point of view, it's never too late. You are never too old to learn more and to be together with the modern technologies. So it's never too late to learn a little bit more about the new technologies. And if you learn more, it will be easier for you later in your work. So why not to be more easier and pleasurable to work in your job? So.
Okay, thank you very much, Hristo, for taking time to join us today and to share your vision and experience with our students. We hope today's interview will help our audience to make the final decision whether this course is suitable for them or not. Bye from me, and thank you again, Hristo.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye.